Hey everybody, David here, and today I want to talk about Captain America Brave New World. This is the newest MCU movie that's in theaters right now, and look, I understand. There's a lot of people out there that think the MCU is in turmoil. Oh my god, look at all some of the bad things they've made, like Secret Invasion, or the Marvels, or Thor Love and Thunder. By the way, I enjoyed Thor Love and Thunder. I'm sorry, I apologize. No, you know what? I'm not going to apologize on that. I like what I like. Get over it. And I enjoyed the Marvels too. I'm going to be honest. Yeah, Secret Invasion was definitely a step down, but I mean, there was still stuff to take from it. Samuel Jackson is cool as Nick Fury. That's a highlight. There's some other things that were okay in that series. And the weakest MCU movie to me was the second Ant-Man movie, Ant-Man and the Wasp. I actually like Quantumania. So, look, I don't care what you think about my credibility because I do know what some of the best MCU movies like Avengers Infinity War and Endgame, Spider-Man No Way Home, the first Avengers movie, Captain America the Winter Soldier, and Civil War. You know, so Black Panther is a great one too. So there's a lot of really good MCU movies out there that definitely, I know the really good ones from the ones that, okay, yeah, that one maybe not the best, but it definitely wasn't the worst movies I've ever seen in my life. Like, we're not in the days of Catwoman or movies or the first Hulk movie with Eric Bana anymore. We have some really good movies from the MCU and even TV series as well. So going into this movie, I was a little, what's the word? And yes, the reviews came out, and last I checked, I think Captain America Brave New World was at 52%, 51%, something like that. And it devastates me because I'm looking forward to these movies and I'm like, please don't be what the critics are saying it is. And usually when it comes to the MCU, it usually isn't for me. So what did I think of this movie now that I've seen it? I really enjoyed this movie a lot. I'm going to be honest with you. Look, I don't think out of the Captain America movies, I do think that this is the weakest of the Captain America movies. Like, it's not as good as the trilogy. Civil War and Captain America the Winter Soldier are some of the all-time bests. The first Captain America movie, Captain America the First Avenger, which took place in World War II, that movie has actually grown on me a lot. I used to think it was one of the weaker Phase 1 MCU films, but it has actually aged really well after having gone back many times and watching it, especially during the Infinity Saga. It's definitely one of the stronger Phase 1 films, I think, and really makes the Captain America trilogy one of the best solo trilogies, right up there with the Guardians of the Galaxy trilogy. So how does this one rank? Yes, this one is probably the weakest of the four Captain America movies, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad thing. I think the action was really cool. That's what we go to see Marvel movies for, the action. I mean, there were times the hand-to-hand combat felt a little weaker, but for the most part, I did think the action scenes served their purposes, especially when they got grander towards the end. For the second half of the movie, I do feel the action really amped up a lot more. I do really love Anthony Mackie in this role. I think he, as Sam Wilson, has grown terrifically in this role. Obviously, when you go back and watch the earlier movies like Winter Soldier, he's a cool character, but I think it's Falcon and Winter Soldier that really solidifies Anthony Mackie's Sam Wilson as a great character. I really loved that speech he made in the finale of that show. So to get him to see full control in a movie as the main character, I thought he did a terrific job. Now, a lot of people are probably wondering about Harrison Ford as Thaddeus Thunderbolt Ross. Obviously, he was played by the late William Hurt, who played him all the way back in 2008's The Incredible Hulk, and then returned in Captain America Civil War, and had a small part in Infinity War, Endgame, and Black Widow, while he passed away during the pandemic, and we got Harrison Ford to fill in those shoes. And I'm telling you now, if you're going to get any actor to fill in the role, fill in the shoes of William Hurt, Harrison Ford is the best person you can ask for. He does a terrific job, and you can see that when he was on stage at Comic-Con, a year or two ago. he was really excited for this role, and you can see it how much passion he puts into this work. And yeah, I would hope to see him again one day. How some people are probably wondering, does it tie into Thunderbolts in some way? Well, I don't know if that's a spoiler, but it's not really, because it doesn't really say anything. And the latest trailer for the Thunderbolts kind of had that line in the, we're going to call ourselves the Thunderbolts, and Bucky says, no, we're not calling ourselves that. So I don't even know if it has anything to do with Thunderbolt Ross. But it would be interesting, a little tie-in. But this movie does not confirm that. I'm just going to say that right out. That's not a spoiler, so I don't think so. But he is great, especially when he turns into the Red Hulk. That is a great moment in the movie. I am going to say this. Look, if you've seen the trailers, this is not a spoiler. So, and I'm sure everybody has seen the trailers. They've seen the marketing. You know that there's a Red Hulk in this movie. The movie does act like you don't know. So when you see certain moments in the movie, you're going to be like, why are you guys teasing this? We know what's going to happen. So that clearly that showed me that the Red Hulk scene was not supposed to be shown. I'm going to say that. I don't think that spoils much, but yeah, you can just tell when watching the movie and how they tease the Red Hulk, or that Ross has issues. You can tell, okay, so Red Hulk shouldn't be in the trailer. That probably is the biggest weakness of this film. I don't know if that's the reason a lot of critics are going against it, but that's what I noticed. Next up is the leader. Okay, Tim Blake Nelson returns as Samuel Stearns, who was also in 2008's The Incredible Hulk. And if you remember that movie, spoiler alert for a movie that's like came out 16 years ago. That movie, at the end, he had Banner's blood dripping on him. Bruce Banner the Hulk was played by Edward Norton in that film, and the blood spilled on his head, and you started seeing his head mutating into something. Well, this movie pays off a 16-year thing that was left unchecked. So, yeah, that was great. I thought he did. I was a little worried because some people were like, a leaked photo came out and people were already complaining about it, even though you couldn't really see anything. It was like shadowed and all you saw was glowing eyes or something. I actually thought the look of his character, what he looks like now, which I won't spoil the details on that, that looked great. I thought they actually did a good job for what this movie was and how he should look now. I think Tim Blake Nelson did a really good job. He wasn't over the top or anything like that. He kept it cool, but he did give it a little bit of a personality. Yeah, I guess. Clearly, he has his issues in this movie. I'll say I felt he was a little underused. That's what I'll say about him. I also thought another character I thought was a little underused was Giancarlo Esposito as the leader of the Snakes people. I don't remember what they're called right now. The Snake Society or something. Yeah, the Serpent Society. Those guys. I love Giancarlo Esposito, especially when you go back and see him in Breaking Bad. Obviously, he was the bad guy in Breaking Bad. He was the bad guy in The Mandalorian, obviously. Grand Moff, I want to say Tarkin, but it's something else. Gideon, Grand Moff Gideon, right? So he was great, but he only had limited time. So he's like roughly in maybe 3 or 4 scenes. But for what it is, it was cool seeing him. He did a good job. I would like to see more of him, maybe. Maybe he's like Frank Grillo in Captain America the Winter Soldier, who became Crossbones. Maybe he's like that. We'll see him again down the road. Who knows? There were some really nice cameos in this movie. I won't spoil any of them. One in particular got the audience kind of really happy. I'll say that much. The end credit scene, I would say maybe stick around. I don't think it really offers too much. It to me, I just thought about it. I'm like, yeah, we kind of already know, but okay, whatever. But that's how I felt. But I do feel that this movie does progress the MCU in a direction finally, where I feel like a lot of people have been kind of frustrated with how the MCU is putting things out there, but we don't know where a lot of this is going. And like the 10 rings are supposed to return. Well, where are they going to return? Thor is out there. Hercules is possibly coming to get him. When is Hercules coming? The Eternals were taken. When are we going to see the... although there is the Eternals connection in this movie. If you've seen the trailers, you know. The big Celestial is finally confirmed after all these years. To me, that wasn't something that bothered me because it's like, yeah, but we don't talk about everything that's going on every day in our lives. So I wouldn't expect the characters in the MCU to be like that either. So it never bothered me. And they did have that little snippet in the newspaper on She-Hulk. But whatever. Okay, fine. They finally mentioned it. I hope everybody can relax now. But for the most part, this movie definitely, if you are somebody that is like, where is the MCU going? This finally gets us on track. Like, okay, now we have a roadmap. We know that there's something coming because we know that there's movies out there that are coming. So finally, we can check that mark off our box. I did like the new Falcon too. I thought Joaquin Torres, played by Danny Ramirez, he did a really great job in the role in Falcon Winter Soldier. So it was great getting a little bit more of him. I actually enjoyed him. I heard some people say he was a little annoying before going to see the movie. So I was like, uh-oh, what do you guys mean annoying? But I was like, no, he wasn't that bad. What are you guys talking about? Come on, get out of here. I actually thought he was cool. I liked him. Look, does every joke land when they... This is not a comedy. Obviously, the Captain America movies take a little bit more of a serious, grounded approach. But this movie... Obviously, with every MCU film, you're going to get some sort of humor. And when the humor, they deliver it, yeah, sometimes it lands, sometimes it doesn't. But it's like, yeah, but that's not a big deal. The movie doesn't focus on humor. It's not like Thor: Love and Thunder, where that was meant to be a comedy. This movie is not meant to be a comedy. So it's like, if the jokes don't always land, that's fine. As long as a couple of them land, which there's quite a bit that do land. So that got me to laugh out loud. So for the most part, look, I'm giving this movie an 8 out of 10. I had a good time with this. And I hope other people go out and check this one out too. I hope this is one of those movies where the fans and the critics just disagree. Because as a fan of the MCU, and I think the general audience should be able to swallow this one too pretty well. I think it's easy to digest. And the 50% on Rotten Tomato, I don't understand that. Get out of here. But for the most part, yes, go and see this movie. I had a great time with it. And look, this is coming from a Canadian, so Canadian loving Captain America. I mean, that says something. And I don't mind when my movies get a little political. I mean, when your movie is called Captain America, you're going to have to expect that, I think, a little bit. I don't think it was too political, but I mean, you're dealing with Captain America. You're dealing with the President of the United States. The movie's going to have some sort of political message in there. So with that being said, I hope you guys go and enjoy it. Tell me what you think if you already seen it. And I avoided the spoilers. Until next time, everybody, take care.